Hi, welcome to this episode of Thai Food. On this episode, we're going to make homemade Italian wedding soup. And we're going to make a homemade meatball to go with it. And for the meat, I'm using a chicken thigh, boneless, skinless thighs. And I've got 1.5 pounds here that I just took, and I took the large chunks of fat off of it and set it off to the side to feed to the cat, which he's in the background asking for. But that's what we're going to use. We cube it up, make it easier to process in the food processor. While I'm doing that, I'm going to have Shiloh here put this on a medium heat. That one right there, kiddo, and then press start. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and get 1 tablespoon of butter in the pot. I don't want the garlic stuck to that. There we go. We got a little bit on the package here, kiddo. And to that, we're going to add a tablespoon of oil as well, which I got right here. So I'm going to go ahead and add a tablespoon of my garlic oil in with the butter here. There we are. You can hear it starting to sizzle, of course. Alrighty, and in that pot with the oil, I've got a small to medium onion, 2 celery stalks, and 2 carrots that I went ahead and pre-chopped here. Go ahead and give that a stir around, kiddo. We're going to get that all softened up in here. And then I got 2 cloves of garlic that I chopped up as well. And I just did like a fine chop on it, nothing major. You can dice it if you want, or you can use a roasted garlic instead. Your choice. Go ahead and get these out of the way. Alright, while he's doing that, I'm going to work on the meatballs here. I want to get my chicken in. If I can get it out of the container here. You want this as cold as possible when you do this. There we go. And I've got about 1.5 tablespoons of onion that I chopped up. All I do is just basically used like a medium onion, and then I took some of the chopped onion from the bowl that we're using for the soup here. 1 large egg. Want to get that in here as well. There we are. Because you want a little bit of a binder for that. Put that there. Rinse my hands real quick here. Okay. We're also going to add some roasted garlic and some other seasonings. Let's do the seasonings first here. First, I've got my poultry seasoning here. And this is just going to add some nice flavor to the chicken meatball that we're making. So we're doing 1 tablespoon of that in there. You're doing good, kiddo. Watch your arm there because that stuff will get hot, okay? Yeah. And I'm going to do some pepper medley here. There we go. Didn't want to move down at first. However you feel is necessary for this. I'm just doing a nice healthy grind. About 1/4 teaspoon if you're going to use the pre-ground stuff. That should be good right there. Alrighty. And about 1/4 teaspoon of smoked paprika here. That's just for a little color and some smokiness. And then I got some soy sauce. Just, regular run-of-the-mill soy sauce. I'm going to do 1/2 teaspoon. Half a teaspoon of soy sauce. And then I got some Worcestershire sauce.
Starting to get brown.
Yep, just keep it moving around, kiddo. 1/2 teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce. Worcestershire, however you want to say it. Yeah, keep it moving. You're doing all right. You're doing fine. Alrighty. We got those. Now the roasted garlic. I'm going to do a nice, healthy half tablespoon of roasted garlic. I'm just going to clean my spoon off in here. That worked pretty good, actually. There we are. And now I have some breadcrumbs. These are Italian seasoned breadcrumbs. And since it's Italian wedding soup, I only thought it was appropriate. I'm going to do a nice half cup of breadcrumbs. And we'll see how that does. I think the cat got into the catnip because he's going crazy around here. He's doing laps. Alrighty. And that's pretty much all we're going to do for this. And we want to get this hooked up here. And we're going to pulse this to incorporate everything. How much you pulse this is dependent on, how much of a mix you want. How fine of a chop you want it as well. It's going to be totally your preference. I'm going to take a peek at this. And it's getting there. I'm going to chop it a little finer than that though. See what that looks like. And I can see I still got, some good sized chunks of the onion and the chicken and stuff like that. And I'm going for more of a processed food type style, so something similar to what you get out of the can. So I'm going to chop a little bit more here. Give it a good workout. You want to make sure the chicken's really, really cold when you do this because it does heat up in this. And that's a little bit more of the style I was going for here. Alrighty. How's that looking, Shiloh?
Good.
Everything's starting to get a little translucent?
Not cool.
A little bit, yeah. We'll cook it a little longer there.
Taking a break.
Yeah, that's fine. Just don't let it sit too long because it can burn on you. But we got it on a fairly low heat. Medium on this is 275 degrees, so a little bit above boiling, but it's not high, so. Alright. Go ahead and get the processor out of my way here. Now for the meatballs, I'm just going to make 2 tablespoon sized meatballs. So basically get that in there. You can see it makes a pretty decent meatball, and it's still a bit sticky, which is alright. That means it's going to stick to itself. So if you want to keep it from sticking to you, just use a little bit of flour on your fingers and you'll be alright. You could also use a little bit of oil as well. A little bit of oil helps keep it from sticking as well. And it gives it a little coating of oil on the outside. So that's pretty much what I'm going to do for these. And what I want to do is slide this over. Let me see how you're doing here, kiddo. You didn't burn yourself, did you?
No.
Okay.
Not yet.
Yeah, that's looking pretty good right here. Go a little bit longer and then we'll add the liquid to it. Now for the liquid, I got a pretty good filtered water here. And for the water, we got some chicken bouillon we're going to add to that. So what I got here is 2 quarts of water and 4 of these bouillon, because they're good for 2 cups per bouillon. So, 2 quarts is 8 cups of water. So that's what we're going to do for that. Alright, you ready for the water?
Yep.
Alright, going to add our water in. There we go. We'll let that start heating up. While that's heating up, I'm going to get this ready to do my meatballs. So I'm going to pre-sear the meatballs. I would have had it set up already if I'd had enough room, but that's alright. You want to do me a favor, kiddo? You want to come around the other side and unplug the food processor and plug this in for me?
Yep.
While he's doing that, I'm going to find myself a pair of tongs. I always forget which drawer I put them in. There we go. Still trying to get used to the kitchen. Alrighty. Thank you, Shiloh. Grab myself a little oil. Oil my fingers a little bit here too. Careful. There we go. I can make a little bit better meatball now. It's not trying to stick to me. For this, I'm going to put this on about 275 here. I'll go ahead and start getting these in. I anticipate these shrinking a little bit, but not a whole lot. So they're going to be a good sized meatball. And you can make whatever size you want when you make your own soup. It's all totally your preference, of course. But I'm going with a little bit bigger meatball. If you wanted them half this size, just use 1 tablespoon. Add a little bit more to that one. There we go. Having that oil on my fingers is really helping out. Touch more here. And this is the long process part here, making all the meatballs and everything, but let me tell you, it's definitely worth it. Because you won't have a better soup otherwise. That store-bought canned stuff just doesn't compare when you make it yourself. Let me tell you. How's that doing, kiddo? Is it starting to heat up? You could probably pop it up to a medium high. Just hit the medium high button. There you go.
You say 5 degrees.
375?
Yep.
Yeah, that'll work. And then as my meatballs get to where I want them for the sear, I'm going to go ahead and get them put right in this bowl. So you pretty much see the process I'm doing right now. We're going to continue this process and we'll come back to the video when we have an update for you. I'm going to go ahead and take a brief pause here. Alright, so we're back from our brief pause. I just finished up with the meatballs, got the last one in here, and we're getting a nice good sear on them, as you can probably see right there. Getting a, basically get them seared all the way around as much as possible. They will finish cooking in the soup itself, but you want to get them started this way. And this way here they won't just fall apart on you either. And we got that heating up here. And it's almost coming to a boil. Let's bump it up to high here. And at this point we're going to go ahead and add our bouillon cubes. So if you want to start unwrapping those, Shiloh, and gently put them in there. Because if you throw them in there, it's going to splash at you, and that's hot liquid, okay?
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
It's like dropping a rock in the water.
I'm going to kick up the meatballs a little bit here and get them going so they sear a little faster. I kept them on a lower temperature when I started doing this so that I could just drop them in there and, you know, have enough time to make meatballs while they're starting to sear off. That was the whole point of the way I did it. So, you know, if you want to obviously make them ahead of time because you're not doing a video, and then you have them ready to go and just plop them in there as you go.
But are these going on?
Yep. That's going in there as well. Different color, isn't it? Is that what threw you off? It was a different color? It's just a different brand, Shiloh. Different brands are different colors.
This one smells like chocolate.
It smells like chocolate, huh? Well, it's definitely not chocolate.
The bad type. There we go. Here's the right color.
And I did find that coating my fingers with the olive oil, or whatever oil you choose, it definitely helped to make the meatballs a little easier. Alrighty. And yes, I still have my bowl here for what I started putting the meatballs in. It's what I'm going to do is...
Ow.
Did you just drop the whole thing in there?
Yes.
Alright. You definitely don't want to do that. Where is it? Going fishing for the utensil here. Grab yourself a spoon out of the drawer. So, you always want to hang on to your utensils, of course, when you're doing this. It's a good lesson to learn, Shiloh. And at least you were smart enough not to reach in the hot liquid to grab it. Wrong kind of spoon, Shiloh, that'll melt on the bottom.
Ow.
If you got a cheap plastic spoon like this from Walmart, do not cook with it, you'll melt it. It will not incorporate into the food, it'll just keep, you know, curling over the edges. How about over in this drawer? You know, like a spoon, you know, for cooking with.
Okay.
I'll get him taught yet. That's the whole point of letting him help me with this too. This way here he can learn. Apparently, I haven't figured out yet how to, upload my videos or have them available on YouTube Kids yet. I think this would be a nice instructional video for kids to watch, in my opinion. But I can't seem to figure out how to get it available on the YouTube Kids yet. So, we're still working on that one. I'm sure I'll figure it out eventually. Maybe I have to send Google an email and ask them. Since it's all theirs, they should know. Now, at this point, the meatballs have kind of absorbed the oil that I had in the pan to start with and the oil that was on them. And that's okay. I didn't have a lot of oil in there because I knew they would probably do that, you know, being that they have breadcrumbs in them. But these should be a fairly dense style meatball. And like I said, if you want to keep it more authentic, we're going to go ahead and pop that down to medium high now. It's starting to boil for us. If you want to keep it more authentic to Italian wedding soup, definitely go with a smaller meatball. You know, half a tablespoon probably, or you know, if you really want small ones, half tablespoon, or just 1 tablespoon even. It'll probably work just fine for you. Going to be a lot more time consuming when you roll the meatballs though, believe me. And if you want to cook them quicker, you can put them out on a baking sheet and just bake them off in the oven on a fairly high temperature and you'll be alright. Totally your choice, make it however you want. just some suggestions for me. You know, as you can see, I made the big ones because, well, I didn't want to take the time to do the smaller ones because it's very time consuming. I was kind of rushing it a little bit here, but that's alright. So the other ingredient we're going to add towards the end of this is 10 ounces of spinach. So we've got that ready to go on the side here, and of course the little tiny balls of pasta that you find in there. I would tell you what type of pasta it is, but honestly I don't remember. I've had this in this container for quite a while now, actually since the last time I made this. And if I remember correctly, the last time I made this I used smaller meatballs for it. And I did make the chicken meatballs, which kind of shocked my mother because she didn't think the meatballs in it were chicken. But any other time when you get it at the store, it is. So we're just going to take a brief pause. During this pause, I'm going to finish searing these, get them into the soup, and get the soup cooked as far as I need to go with it before I add the pasta, and then we'll come back to you. Alright? So, enjoy the pause. If I have to reprimand her on video, I will. Hello! Welcome back. Okay, so we've had our soup here simmering with the meatballs in it after I got them seared. And as you can see, my help here couldn't stand up any longer. His legs were hurting him. So we got our Acini de Pepe, as it's called. That's basically the Italian name for it. I don't know what the American name is of it, but if you simply just Google pasta commonly found in Italian wedding soup, this will come up. And that's what you're going to want. So we're going to go ahead and add this right in. And let's go ahead and give that a stir in, Shiloh. And we're going to get that mixed right in. Not too aggressively. You want to get down at the bottom. Don't really worry about the meatballs a whole lot like this, because you don't want that pasta to stick. You want to keep it moving, and you want to gently work your way in between the meatballs. See how when you do that, it falls off the top of the meatballs? You don't want to be aggressive. It'd probably be easier to do if you were standing up, you know. Why don't you get rid of that stool, because it's going to be in the way.
Okay.
So it shouldn't take a whole lot of time for this pasta to cook. Probably just a couple of minutes. So while that's doing that, I'm going to go ahead and add in the spinach a little bit at a time here and get this wilted in. Now, naturally you can leave this part out if you want, if you don't like spinach, but this is the way I make it, this is the way I like it, so whatever you don't like, you just opt out of. That's all there is to it. You don't have to make it the way I do, but it does taste good, let me tell you. Keep going, kiddo. Don't be pushing like that, like I was showing you. You know, just like so. See how when you move it like that, it goes around the meatballs? It's not that difficult. It's all in the technique. This is 10 ounces of spinach. If I didn't mention that before, I'm doing it now. He looks so enthused, doesn't he, folks? So happy to be back here behind the camera now. Keep stirring. You want me to take over? Alright, go. Go play with your tablet. I got this. Susie couldn't sit anymore. He couldn't handle it anymore. Alrighty. He'll learn one of these days. It's not all fun and games sometimes. But the only way to learn is to get in here to do it. Go ahead and dump the rest of the spinach in there. And spinach is definitely high in iron and good for you, especially when you get it fresh like this. And any vitamins that might leach out of it are going to be right in the soup. So it'll be good to go. So at this point we're just doing this long enough. I'm going to bump the temp up a little bit here. I had put the temp down so I could just simmer the soup as well. So at this point we're just kind of bringing it to a boil again, keeping the pasta cooking. Keep things moving around as well. That's basically all there is to this soup at the moment. Shouldn't need anything else as far as I'm concerned. See, our pasta's starting to float here. Get a little sample. See what we got here. Carrots are tender. Pasta's almost there. Yeah, pasta's still got a little crunch in the center to it. So just a couple more minutes here and it'll be good to go. And by then the spinach will be cooked enough in the soup. And the flavor's there, good salt content. I can't think of anything else we would need at this point. Except for maybe some grated cheese to put over top when you go to eat it. So I'm going to let this kind of simmer here a little bit while I grab some grated cheese out. There we are, my go-to container that I put my grated cheese in here. Are you going to come back to sample, Charlotte? Yeah? Just keeping this moving. Just a couple more minutes, kiddo. And keep in mind, this is extremely hot. Just like with the mac and cheese when you burnt your mouth.
Don't remind me, please.
I'm reminding the folks that haven't seen that video yet. That was hilarious. You should see it. It's right on the YouTube there. Homemade mac and cheese. And you can see this soup is thickened up quite a bit from the starch from the pasta as well. And pasta's starting to show up a little more prevalent now that it's expanded in the liquid. And the longer it sits in this liquid, the more it's just going to draw up until it's fully saturated and get tender. And at this point, all the stems should be nice and tender on the spinach. And it's leached out its flavor into the soup very nicely. Alrighty. Go ahead and turn my little cooktop off here. Gonna go ahead and put a meatball in there for him and a scoop of the soup. You want some cheese? Yeah? There you go. Let's see what he thinks of this. I'm gonna go ahead and dish a little bit for myself to try as well here. I'm gonna be greedy and take 2 meatballs though. As I get the death stare because he only got 1. Oh, I almost had 3. You can see there's not a whole lot of broth with this as well. So it's pretty hearty soup. Alrighty. Good? You didn't even try the meatball. Of course the soup's good. I'm going to go ahead and cut right into the meatball. You can see it's nice and white in the middle. That's those chicken thighs we used here. I know the soup portion's good because, you know, I just tried that for the most part, so get a little bit of everything here. Try to cool it off. I don't want to burn my tongue. Oh yeah. Very good flavor. You didn't cool it off enough, did you?
No.
I warned you again.
I tried.
Alright, there you have it, folks. Homemade Thai food Italian wedding soup. Delicious. I highly recommend you try it. Also, don't forget to check out my Facebook group page. On there, there's a little excerpt about how you could win your own bottle of my black gold seasoning that I've used in several recipes here. And if you want to give it a try, all you got to do is subscribe to the YouTube channel and then go on my Facebook group and comment under the post that you're done. Pretty much that simple. Once I get 250 subscribers, I'm going to give away 5 bottles of it free. So you can only win one. Alright? And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel as well, of course. If you click the little bell when you do that, it notifies you when I upload a new video. I'm also on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. So check us out. Have a good one.